Naples Tower, this is helicopter 357 Lima Hotel requesting under taxi to spot Charlie with Alpha.
Hey everybody, Rob here from Heli Skunk Works, and the title of this video is Christmas RC Helicopters 2012. Okay, the number one question that I get asked this time of year from about mid-November all the way up to pretty much the 24th of December, Christmas Eve, is what is the best beginner helicopter to get for my boyfriend, my husband, or my son? Sometimes my wife or daughter. I do get that too. Believe it or not, there are girls, women in the sport, although not as common. You do have them. So that's the number one question this time of year. And with the hustle and bustle of the holiday seasons and with Christmas, I am hoping to, hopefully I can make that decision a little bit easier for you. Okay, now as we start this video, I am going to make a presumption about this. My presumption is that the person that you're buying an RC helicopter for is a complete beginner. They've never touched a helicopter, they've never messed with an RC helicopter before. They're a complete beginner, they know nothing about it. That's the assumption that I'm coming from in this video. So it's going to be very basic. We're going to start out with some helicopters that I think are likewise the most basic, the easiest to fly, the quickest to get used to. And what that comes down to is minimizing the level of frustration on Christmas Day when you open that new helicopter. You don't want to have to spend, you know, hours and hours, if not days, just learning how to fly it. You would like to get a little enjoyment right in on that first day. We all know that's a hectic day. Everybody's opening presents, people are eating, lots going on. So we want to try and minimize that. So I am going to give you my recommendation, getting into the meat of it here, of what I think are the three best helicopters, in my opinion, that you could get for a total and complete beginner. And we will go over some of the pros and cons of each one, and so on and so forth. And before I forget to mention, in case I do, whenever you're buying one of these helicopters, if you should decide to do so, make sure that you get what's called the RTF, which stands for Ready to Fly version. Once again, that's RTF, Ready to Fly. What that means is that you will have a controller, a remote control, in other words, that will be in the box with the helicopter. There's another version called BNF, Bind and Fly. You need to have your own controller for that helicopter. So you want to make sure you get the RTF version. Okay, there, I've gotten that out of the way. All right, first up is, I'm going to move the other helicopters off to the side for a moment so that we can feature one at a time. Okay, this here helicopter, this is the Blade MCX. Now this is this helicopter, first off, it's from Horizon Hobby. It's part of their Blade series RC helicopters. It's what's called a coaxial, which means it has these two rotor blades, one up here, one down here. This little helicopter, in all of my experience, and that goes back about 21 years, I started flying these in 1991. This little coaxial helicopter, in my opinion, is the most stable and the easiest to fly helicopter that I have ever seen, that I have ever flown. If there's one out there that's better, I don't know about it. The MCX, again, this is the earlier version too. There is an upgraded version. It's called the MCX2. They are both pretty much identical in every respect except for the MCX2. I'll go ahead and I'll put a picture up on the screen real quick here so you can take a look at it. The MCX2 has an upgraded body. This is the older style body. The MCX2 has some other, it's not real significant, but it does have some other features that make it a little bit more versatile, but not by a lot. Maybe we can get into that a little bit later. Anyway, MCX. This is, again, probably the most stable, easiest helicopter to fly. Somebody getting this on Christmas, you can probably, I would say within a couple hours, within a few hours, you can be doing pretty well with this little helicopter. It's very easy to learn to fly. And the main reason for that is because it's so stable. If you want, look up another video on YouTube, just type in Blade MCX, look up the videos, and you'll see how stable this little guy is. I mean, you can, with your controller, once you set it, the controller, this thing will just pretty much hover in the air. It will, right on its own. Very little drift, it'll hold its height. So, I think the easiest way to say this is, or one way to say it might be that if you can't fly this little helicopter, if you can't fly this little guy, then probably helicopters is not the thing for you or the thing for the person that you're buying it for. As far as age range, you could probably buy this for a younger child. I would recommend that they be, this is a little bit out of my league as far as what the age might be, but I would say at least 10 years old, something around that ballpark figure anyway. So this is the Blade MCX. It takes a small little battery, goes right in the bottom, as do most of the helicopters I'm going to show you. You put a little battery in the bottom, you hook this up, you got your controller, and away you go flying that. Okay, that's the MCX. Next up is, this is the Blade MSR. And as you notice right off the bat, the Blade MSR only has one set of rotor blades up here. Now, there are two versions of this. This is, again, this particular helicopter is about 3 years old. I did get this about 3 years or more ago. I would say is probably one of Horizon Hobby's most popular helicopters, and with reason. I mean, it's a really great little flyer. It's very stable. Now, it's not as stable as the MCX that I just showed you. It will, when it's up in the air, it will tend to, it can drift around a little bit, and it's a little hot rod. I mean, this thing can really, it can get going really fast, okay? One of the advantages is because of its size, if it does smack, headlong into a wall, it can take a lot of impact. It can take a lot of, well, we'll just say abuse. You don't want to do deliberate abuse, but it can take a lot of crashes and hits, and nothing will happen to it. But it's a little harder to fly. It's a little harder to master because it is, again, it's not quite as stable as the MCX. The MCX you could almost think of as being rock stable in the air, as close as you can get to it without being a rock in the air. This one is faster, it's more nimble, it's got a single rotor design, so if you think that the person that you're buying it for is a little more avid towards this kind of thing, flying these little helicopters, you might want to go with something like this. It will take a little longer to learn, but it's also, it could be a good choice for a beginner helicopter. Okay, next up. This is the Blade 120 SR, and again, this is from Horizon Hobby. I am a Horizon Hobby fan. I do have other brands of helicopters, but Horizon Hobby, they really do their homework, in my opinion. They produce good helicopters. The 120 SR here, you could think of this helicopter as the big brother of the MSR here. they're basically exactly the same in most all respects, except this one it's a little bigger. Now this one also, you can fly it indoors and you can also fly it outdoors. But if you fly it outdoors, you want to make sure that there's very, very little wind or no wind at all. These type of small helicopters, what's called a fixed pitch helicopter, I don't want to get too technical in this video because I am making it for beginners, but they tend not to do real well in wind. Wind will kick them around a lot. So you can fly this indoors, and if it's a very calm day out, you can absolutely fly it outdoors as well. The same holds true for the MSR, by the way. You can fly this outdoors on, you know, if it's a fairly calm day. The MCX, not so much. I mean, even the slightest amount of breeze, the lightest breeze will just, you know, kick this thing around. So anyway, this is the bigger version of the Blade MSR. And so as such, again, this helicopter can, as far as crashes go, now, one thing I should get into real quick, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself, I tend to do that sometimes, but as far as the crashes go, this can take a lot of, you know, this thing can take a lot of heat too. It can take some crashes, but not quite as much as the smaller helicopters. You know, if it hits a wall, if it smacks a wall hard enough or it smacks the ground hard enough, things can break. These blades can break. This little thing here, which is called a flybar, can break, and your little tail rotor can break. It's still tough with respect to larger helicopters, but again, you know, I would recommend, you know, if you buy this helicopter, I would definitely recommend, as I do in my videos, I did a whole series on this particular helicopter. I think there's 5 videos in the series. You can look them up on my channel if you like. I did a series about which spare parts I recommend to have on hand, and so on and so forth. So anyways, that's pretty much it. And right now, at this moment, I'm trying to think if there's anything that I forgot. Usually that does happen, and we video makers, that's what we use the YouTube captions for, to go back and put in and fill in what we forgot to say in the video. Seems like you can never remember it all at the time of the making. So these are the 3 helicopters. The Blade MCX, again, let me get these back in the view here. I'm going to zoom out so you can see them all. So again, you've got your Blade MCX, and this comes in 2 versions. There's the MCX, this is the original. It also comes in the MCX2 now, which is, has a different canopy, and you can do a thing with what's called the swash plate in here to make it just a little bit faster if you like. Pretty much strictly an indoor flyer for most intents and purposes, strictly indoors. Blade MSR, a little bit harder to fly, but you know, an avid, eager learner, person learning this, can learn to fly it, I would say, within a day or 2 if they stay at it. And then of course you have the bigger version of that helicopter, the Blade 120 SR, which is a bigger helicopter. Some people might like that. It feels a little more like a bigger helicopter, and so forth. So that's it. That's my, these are my recommendations, again, for your basic beginner, total beginner, entry-level helicopters for Christmas. And if I can do another video, I might even do a video where I fly each of these helicopters in series, just to give you an idea of how they fly. But until then, those are my recommendations, and I hope this has been helpful for you in making that decision if you do indeed decide to buy a helicopter for somebody in your life. So once again, this is Rob, CrazyHeliDude from the Heli Skunk Works. Happy flying, happy holidays, and take care.